Welcome to the Horror Chronicles with your hosts, Ryan and JT. Now follow us through the deep, dark realm of the horror world. Let's talk all things horror. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Horror Chronicles. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me, as always, JT's in the house.
What's going on, everybody?
So, how was everybody's Halloween? I know you can't answer, but, we asked a question anyway.
Oh, my God. Mine was fantastic.
Yeah, man. It was actually pretty cool. I showed up kind of late, but there were still a lot of people here when I showed up,
You did.
So, how'd that all go?
Man, it was cool. There was a lot of people showed up this year. Probably the most we've ever had. I'd say there was probably 100, 150 people in and out of this place.
And, man, I'm telling you, like, if you got, this is just his house. It's not like it's a...
Yeah. It was crazy. And we don't do a haunted house or anything. It's just people come in and gather.
Yeah, decorated yard stuff. Now, it's just a good setup. It's good. It's a good hang setup, like I said before.
It's fun. It's fun, and we love it. And it gives us opportunity to talk to people, meet new people. We had a bunch of new people show up this year.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing, like you said.
That's really weird when you're walking through. Like it's cool because now we have the garage, and so everybody kind of gathered in here, and we had movies playing on the big screen.
And that looked really good, by the way. Even with that door open,
cool.
It looked perfect. Like it was, you could see it perfectly.
But it was kind of odd to walk through here and be like, "Who are you?"
What's up? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, that's what Halloween's all about.
Yeah, like I said, bringing people together.
Yes, sir.
The creepiness brings people together. But yeah, man, it was pretty cool. I mean, I left a little bit. I got here a little late, so I mean.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. You walk in and kind of snuck up behind me as I'm promoting our podcast to somebody in here. I'm like, oh hey, here you just go here, you go there, and then all of a sudden there you are, and I'm like. I was standing there for like at least 4 minutes, just sitting there listening. But yeah, man, it was good. My kids got to do their little thing. They showed up before I did. Yeah, they did.
They came out here with their grandma before I got a chance.
It was kind of funny. Your youngest was sleeping whenever they got here.
Yeah.
And he woke up shortly.
Car rides tend to do that to him. He likes to pass.
They do that to me too.
I know. I gotta watch that. But yeah, he loves that stuff too, though. They showed up before I did, but I still got out here. We did a thing, and
it was cool, man.
I really liked it. Like the setup, especially with the garage now that get people in here, and where we're at, it always seems to want to rain on Halloween. Yeah. So,
I think it's rained like the past 2 or 3 years. Almost.
Oh, easy. I mean, I'm going to say probably 5 years because I can't.
And that's
It's been a while since I can remember having a Halloween that was nice. And then go figure, because the day before Halloween, it was like beautiful.
Yeah, it was 65, 70 degrees. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous day. I'm like, sweet. And then the next day, just rain and miserable.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool though. I mean, it rained in the morning a little bit, but then it quit, and then it started just kind of sprinkling about 6 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't like it was a major downpour thunderstorm or anything.
No, it was just a gradual rain, man. It sets up the atmosphere too.
Yeah, it worked out cool.
Bonfire still worked.
Yeah.
Bonfire was out there going, so it worked.
Yeah, not many people hung around that because everybody wanted to be in here with the food and the movie and
It looked good though, man. I mean, I liked it.
It was fun, man. Thanks.
And that movie looked really clear on there, dude. Like, we're going to have to come out here sometime just to watch a fucking movie.
For sure.
Just to chill out in the garage.
It was funny. One of our other friends, we ran into her on Saturday, and she was like, "Oh, okay, so you guys going to have a Christmas party this year out in the garage?"
We don't do Christmas.
Yeah, we'll watch Nightmare Before Christmas, Black Christmas,
Krampus,
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Or Krampus.
Yeah, we'll have all kinds of
great Christmas movies for the family. So yeah, but it was a pretty good time. It rained. It's Halloween. It's always a good time.
Yeah.
And today I got to watch. I recorded it anyway. I haven't got to watch it yet. One of my favorite movies. I haven't bought it yet. I'm gonna kick myself in the ass for not buying it yet. But the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We talked about that.
Oh, dude, I got a couple things I want to talk to you about.
It's on.
Yeah, I like Buffy. Was that Christy Swanson was in that?
Yeah,
and Paul Rubens. What was the Perry? Luke Perry, yeah.
And
great movie.
David Arquette.
Spawned a fantastic series.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I love that. I don't care. I love that movie, man. That movie is, along with like The Lost Boys, really was
Yeah,
a huge part of my childhood.
Yeah.
That for sure. Like that's one of the movies that spawned me getting into horror. Like, and you know, that's definitely a staple. I want to say that's a staple of my childhood. That movie. You know.
Well, a couple of things that I want to tell you about is we just started watching on Netflix the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and it's about Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I've been hearing about it.
Dude, the atmosphere in that show is like off the hook. I mean,
dark and creepy.
It is really cool the way they recorded all of that.
See, I gotta get Netflix.
Yeah, it's really cool. But something I just started recording, and I just went through the first 2 episodes of it, was Eli Roth, The History of Horror.
Yes, I've seen. I caught like half an episode just one day randomly.
Yeah, I just I've only watched 2 episodes. The first episode was about zombies, and it was, you know, of course they went through all the
one I watched,
movies. You know, gave big props to George Romero. They talked about Shaun of the Dead, 28 Days Later,
because
all kinds of stuff.
I seen. I watched when he was talking to Greg Nicotero.
Yeah.
That's Yeah, I was watching. That's the part I seen.
The second one, they're doing a 2-part. So episodes 2 and 3 are slashers.
Oh, of course.
And I watched the second episode, and of course it was all about Jamie Lee Curtis and Halloween, and you know, they talked about some of the other slashers, and when it ended, they were just getting into Friday the 13th, you know, and
Sweet.
And they talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all. Oh, dude, so far it's been really cool.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan. His movies are kind of...
Yeah, I seen something the other day.
His movies are a lot of gore and stuff. He makes good movies, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not into the gore flicks.
Yeah, like Green Inferno,
Yeah.
Inferno and stuff like that. Like that movie was straight crazy gore, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody was comparing him to... they did something on one of the sites I'm on, and on Facebook, and they were comparing his movies to Rob Zombie's. But the thing is, they had Green Inferno on his. They had what was the one you just said? I can't remember.
Oh, Hostel.
Hostel was on there.
Hostel series, yeah.
And then there was 2 more on there. And then for Rob Zombie, House of Thousand Corpses, great movie.
Yes.
Devil's Rejects.
Oh, fantastic.
Great movie. And then both the Halloweens. And I was like, dude, you throw those 2 in there, then it's obviously Eli Roth. Yeah. Sorry, guys. But.
As far as Rob Zombie's Halloween, I'm not going to knock it. I hated the beginning of that movie. They gave us too much backstory on Michael.
Yeah.
We don't need to know that.
Yeah.
As far as I loved Malcolm McDowell as Loomis. I think he did a great job.
Yes. Yeah.
Great job.
Yep.
But the rest of I like the brutality of that movie.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, the atmosphere was good. I like the atmosphere of the movie.
It was.
Like you said, though, just a little bit too much info for me. And then
then you get to part 2, and that's probably up there with one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I didn't even watch it. I watched half of it and I stopped watching it. I'm like, this is just junk.
Bad.
So I can't even tell you how it ends.
But then he comes out and he does something like 31, which I don't know if you've seen that.
Yep.
Not too bad.
I liked it. It was good.
It was a cool story.
Yeah, it was a good story. I liked it. But yeah, I mean, but getting back to where we were at, yeah, I'm gonna watch that Eli Roth show. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I started recording it and I missed like the first 3 episodes. So I found, I went to AMC.com and I found it, and I watched, like I said, I watched the first 2 episodes. I actually watched those this morning. I was pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, I liked what I've seen so far.
And they got the guy, the director of Walking Dead, the creator. Oh my God!
Yeah, I know Greg Nicotero is the guy who does the...
I'm a horror reject. Nicotero.
Yeah, Greg Nicotero.
Yeah. Sorry. He was on it. He's kind of like Eli Roth, of course, is doing it, but then he's sitting there with Rob Zombie and Nicotero.
Yeah, well, because I know Nicotero is part of, I believe, is part of the remake of Pet Sematary. I want to say he's in
really?
on that. He's in on one of these new movies that are coming out, these big ones. He is part of that. I know that for sure. I want to say it's Pet Sematary.
Yeah. Dude, and the people they're interviewing in that are like...
Robert
they got
Englund.
Landis, Stephen King is in it. They've even got some interview with Joe Hill, which a lot of people don't know. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son.
Yeah.
And the books that Joe Hill is putting out are just as creepy as the shit his dad does.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, they got all the slashers. They got Kane Hodder. They got freaking.
There was a cool
Robert Englund.
little interview with Kane. He was talking about how he had been in 4 of the Friday the 13th movies, and he had killed more people on film than he thinks anybody has ever.
Yeah, people are.
I love Kane Hodder.
Yeah,
the Hatchet movies are fantastic. They're campy as hell, but I love them, dude. I love them.
Sweet. Yeah.
Man, we have just went way off.
Yeah, hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. We never said what our topic's going to be yet.
Yeah.
So,
well, we haven't really sat down and talked to each other in a while. And
it's been at least 4 days.
It has been 4 days. Well, it was kind of weird. You can't really count Halloween because we didn't really have time to talk.
We didn't talk a whole lot. I mean, I showed up out
there
here.
There was a lot of people here.
Yeah. So I wasn't here for very long, like an hour. But keeps us busy.
My wife, I got to give her props, man. She's a trooper when it comes to Halloween.
Yeah, she was kicking butt out here.
She didn't really care for it whenever we got married, and I've kind of, turned her over to the dark side.
Welcome to the dark side.
And now, she does a great job. She keeps everything moving. She only had to yell at me 4 or 5 times all night.
See, I got lucky because me and my wife have been together since we were 14 years old. So we kind of grew up into it with each other, and she actually likes them anyway. She loves horror movies, it scares her and stuff, but she on Halloween just kills it every year.
Yeah, she looked fantastic this year
as the nun. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people who listen to this, probably most of you seen it on our Facebook page. If not, go check it out on our Facebook page, the Horror Chronicles podcast. But she freaking was the nun this year, and she nailed her. So
yeah, she looked really good.
But she does it every year. She freaking just kills it every year.
Creepy. I wouldn't want to see that coming at me at night.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, but sometimes creepier.
And then she puts the makeup on.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
He's gonna pay for that later. Trust me.
I probably will.
But anyway, folks, today I think we're gonna talk a little bit about the Ouija board.
Yeah.
And maybe get into a little bit of witchcraft stuff because it kind of intertwines with it a little bit. Barely, but
it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, mainly just the name. People think, that they're connected because
they do, and I was one of those people. And when you really go back and look at it, they really have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah,
they do. In essence, but witches didn't use talking boards or Ouija boards.
Yeah.
I mean, they just didn't do it. A Ouija board is actually a fairly new concept. I say fairly new. The first actual Ouija board, or Ouija is how it's pronounced, board actually was introduced into society in 1890.
Yep, 1890, yep.
And that's not, in the grand scheme of things, that's not very long ago.
Yeah, I mean, the first ads didn't come out. The first ad for it wasn't until 1891.
Right.
That's when the first few ads started to come out. Right. And
now, there was talk about it in the 1840s. Around 1848, they started working on this. And then this Charles Kenner is the one that came up with the idea to...
In 1891, he said that, he got 4 of other investors involved into making the Kennard novelty company.
Right.
And basically, they mainly to put out and make the market on Ouija boards.
Right. Yeah, and back then, they were called the talking board.
Yeah, because...
And this guy, William Fund, is the one that actually came up with the term Ouija.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different stories on that.
I was going to say, because one of the stories is that the guy one of the investors, Elijah Bound,
right,
he had a stepsister or a sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And she was a strong.
Her name was Helen Peters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was a strong medium. Everyone said,
right.
In quotes. And anyway, she was talking, they had a seance, and she said they were asking what they should name the board. So they come up with the name Ouija.
Yeah.
But one of the ladies who was at the seance was wearing a necklace, a locket. And inside the locket, there was a picture of a lady. And the actual name is Yonda. And she was a poet or something like that. Yonda or something like that. Well, they mispronounced it and said Ouija. and that's where they got the name from.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the stories
Right.
about where the name came from.
And they claim that this Ouija, it's an ancient Egyptian term, and its translation is good luck.
Yeah.
But that's just one of the stories.
Yeah.
How much validity is there to that? I don't know. I'm not Egyptian.
Yeah, and they also say that
it's a cool concept, though.
Yeah, and they say that the name come from the French word. I don't know how which is
Yes.
And then ja from the German word.
It is German, right?
But I mean, it's a lot of people say that's not where it comes from. It's it's up to determination for everybody else.
Well, and this Fold guy actually tried to, after they created this, he was trying to take control of it. So he actually, what I had heard is he was the one that actually changed how the name came about. It's a bizarre story. But if you look at that, though, so think about that. A lot of people, I was one of those people that thought Ouija boards have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and they were part of the witchcraft lore, and these witches would talk to spirits and blah, 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 and it's all bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, and no one really knows when it came about.
Right. They think that the idea came from China back in, I think it was 540 BC. Mm-hmm. They used a type of talking board. What did they call it? It was something writing. The name escapes me now, but basically they had a planchette that had two wheels on one side, and they could put a pencil in the other side. And,
yes.
And they would put their hands on it, and they would put it on a big piece of paper.
Yep.
And they'd put their hands on it, and it would spell out words to them.
Well, do you know the story of Patience Worth?
Yes.
And that's Patience Worth. I mean, basically, just a quick story on her. It is basically there was a lady named Pearl Curran.
Right.
And she was around in 1913, mm-hmm. And she claimed to talk to a spirit through the witch board, through the Ouija board, whatever you want to call it, because it hadn't been called that time.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, she claimed to talk to this spirit whose name was Patience Worth.
Right.
And she was alive in the 17th century sometime, and she was a poet.
Right.
And what's crazy about this is that Pearl Curran, actually, she wrote 7 books, a lot of poems, and short stories.
Right.
Saying that all of it was from this Patience Worth, and she actually brought the spirit board on road with her and had live seances, writing stuff on road, live in front of people with Patience Worth, supposedly. So,
dude, I am so excited you pulled up that story, because that was one of the things that I had thought about. I have read a lot about Patience Worth, listened to a lot of stories about her and stuff, and it was kind of crazy because these books that she had written were of an intelligence that there is no possible way this woman could have had.
Yeah, and
she was not well versed. She was not well schooled,
educated at all.
No, I mean, this woman. I mean, I'm not saying she was a dummy by no means, but she was not as smart as
the work she was putting out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool story.
And she wrote these books and these plays and stuff like in between the years of 1913 and 1917.
Yeah.
So it was a short amount of time, kind of, if you think about it, for the amount of work that came out of her.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, that's an awesome story. Because
it really is.
Just thinking about, how someone with, someone putting out the work of someone who has clearly way higher intellect and mental capacity than the person that's doing it.
One of the things that I had heard about Pearl is at one time she was writing up to 4,000 words a day.
Yes. Yep.
And claimed that all of it was coming from the spirit world, from Patience Worth.
I mean, that's crazy cool.
It's a really cool story. Really cool.
I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, and what's crazy about it too, you know, they sold those Ouija boards when they came out for like $1.50. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was in freaking, you know, what, 1891, 1892?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, for that time.
Oh, yeah.
So, and people were buying them like crazy because at this time going on in the world was the spiritual, what they call it? The spiritual uprising.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so they capitalized on it, man. Yeah. And I mean, just made
money. And it's really weird. Like, it seems like these things get extremely popular around, say, like wartime, when there's something major going on in the world. The popularity of these things rises, and there's a lot of different kinds of boards out there and different kinds of devices to try and communicate with the dead. There was this doctor, his name was Robert Hare, and he was a devout skeptic. I mean, the guy was out to debunk these things in the biggest way possible, and he created one that was more like a machine that, you know, he took all the information that he could gather and he built this machine, and it worked. And this guy was no longer a skeptic. He became a believer because of this. It's very interesting, the stuff that you pull up off of these things.
Well, and too, like, what's crazy about it is, in order for them to get a patent, to get a patent on the Ouija board, they had to prove that it worked.
They had to prove that it worked. Right.
And in this case, you know, they had the guys and the people who were given the test on whether or not it worked. They didn't know the name of the guy, supposedly. So this is all supposedly, and I got to think about it. These guys, these investors, you know, these investors, Charles Kennard and
Boyd,
Bond.
Yeah, Bond. I'm sorry.
These guys had a lot of money, a lot of pull.
Yeah.
Now, so who knows? But the story goes that they had to use the Ouija board to spell out this man's full name to prove that it worked to get the patent. And of course, that's what happened. Right. And they said the guy came out and was, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! You know, it really works." But who knows if he got paid? We don't know. But that's the story. So we'll stick with the story just for story's sake. But and a lot of this information I got, guys, is from a guy named Robert Murch.
Yes.
And
there's what's the name of that? It's the National Talking Board.
Yeah.
It's like a council or chamber or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember, but that's where I got a lot of my information from. I've been everywhere. He's done a lot of research on it since 92 or something like that. He's been doing research on it. But so yeah, they proved that it worked by spelling out the man's full name, and they supposedly had no idea who the guy was. So I mean, that's
and they claim that these things work. Well, you know, it's kind of funny. So once they released these things, they kind of became a novelty. Yeah. Because this Kennard Novelty Company sold these things, and it was bought out by Hasbro.
Yep.
And I remember when in the late 80s they were owned by Parker Brothers.
Yeah, Parker
and it was a game. It was a game. And one of the coolest things on the Ouija board is it says for ages 8 and up. So think about that. You got to be 21 to drink alcohol, but you only got to be 8 years old to summon a demon.
Yeah. And I remember they were trying to. They said they were selling these on the premise of they could tell the past, they predict the future and the present. Yeah. You know, and so basically it wasn't really supposed to be connecting to
the spirit
world. Supposedly it was to be able to tell your future and kind of like a mysticism type thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting stuff.
But I mean, I've used them.
Oh, I have too.
So I mean,
we had some strange occurrences with one. You know, when I was younger, we had one time we were using it, and it for some reason, I know this is going to sound funny, but for some reason it kept spelling out cat. And we would talk to it for a while, and it would talk about some other stuff, and then it would go back to cat. And, me and my buddy, we like to freak each other out, so we'd go out in the woods at night, it was really dark, and we'd have a couple candles with us, and we'd play this Ouija board, And the one night that it started talking about the cat, we're sitting there, we kind of looked at each other, it's like, what the hell is this thing talking about? And all of a sudden, like right beside us in the woods, this cat just lets out this blood-curdling, "Meow!" I tell you what, talk about two guys shitting their pants. We ran back to the house. It was crazy.
Do you have a stutter?
Huh?
Kept going back to cat?
I don't know.
Cat.
Cat.
Meow. Yeah, I've used it a few times, not a whole lot. I know that when I was younger, when we lived up in it's up towards St. Louis, but I can't remember the town name now. I was pretty young, but Farm Apartments was the name of the place.
Okay.
And there was a lady that it was a newer subdivision that we lived in, and there's quite a bit of houses there, or I guess you would call them like duplexes, really.
Right.
And there's a bunch of them there. And there was this lady who was like nutso in that little cul-de-sac. And I remember everybody, like my brother and my friends and his friends that are around at that time, my older brother anyway, they would tell stories. Oh, that lady, she killed her husband and buried him in the basement, blah, blah, stuff like that to freak you out. Well, I know her husband did die. I'm not sure how, but I know that she was like super into the Ouija board and talking to spirits and trying to communicate with her husband and shit. Yeah. And then I know like one night, her and her son, I want to say, and some other people were there doing a seance, I guess, with the Ouija board. And I think this was on Halloween, to be honest with you. Because I remember, yes, it was, because that's why we were all outside.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing her and them running out of the house with the Ouija board, and they threw it out in the road. And she doused it with something, I don't know, and just lit it on fire. And it was burning different color flames, which to me, back then, I was like, oh, shit, there's like... yeah. But now I know that, sometimes they put chemicals and stuff that just burns weird colors. Right. Back then I was like, holy crap. And my brother's like, yeah, that's all the souls coming out of the Ouija board. So I was like, freaked the fuck out, But, that was an interesting story. But she came out screaming and yelling, talking about whatever's in her house, banging on the walls, and they're burning the Ouija board and this and that. And
yeah.
Another crazy story. This is coming... Now, I heard this from my wife for a year. I've been with my wife for almost 19 years now. And she's told me this story. Never has changed. And her dad even told me the story. And her dad passed away about 6 years ago. And, he wasn't a bullshitter type guy. Really good dude. One of the best guys I ever knew.
Right.
But, anyway, they had this... they bought this house that her mom still lives in today. And I've lived in a house. There's a lot of cool stories about this place, too, that she has. Her and her family has about the ghosts and stuff. But anyway, back to the Ouija board aspect. When they moved in, they have a basement. They went down the basement and had like three bedrooms downstairs, or like 3 separate rooms that you can make a bedroom, And in the middle of that, they have like a laundry chute that, you throw the laundry from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down. Well, and then there's like cabinets down there behind it. Well, in the cabinets, they found this Ouija board. But it was an old school wooden one. Like the wood, actual wood. Yeah. So they pull it down and stuff, and then her dad shows up, and they're like, Dad, check this out, whatever. And he's like, we gotta get it out of the house. He ain't messing with that thing. So he takes it, and he throws it in the trash. Well, they come back, and it's back in the house. He thinks, oh, it's just the kids being stupid.
Got it out of the can.
So he takes it, and actually, Krista or her sister, I can't remember which one Krista said, my wife, said that they found it again and brought it back upstairs, said, Dad, look at this. And he's like, what are you kids doing taking this out of trash? I told you, just go in the trash. And they're like, we didn't bring it back in here, blah, blah, freaking out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever. And he takes it, and then he goes to leave later on the night, And he takes it with him, and he just throws it on the side of the damn road somewhere. Throws it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it comes back to the house.
Holy shit.
I can't remember what she said they find. I think they finally said that he burned it and made sure it was burnt to crisp and never came back. But I've heard that same story for the last freaking 19 years.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy, and that's kind of the legend of these things. They say you can't get rid of them. The only way you can truly get rid of it is to give it away.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I've had 3 of them. I've thrown all 3 of them away, and they've never came back. So, I don't know.
You're going to go in your house tonight, there's going to be 3 laying on your bed.
My wife would not be happy.
She'd be like, what the fuck is this?
I had a really cool one. It was a glow-in-the-dark one whenever we got married. And I tried to get her to let me use it for Halloween. I was going to put a motor on the planchette and have it spin around the board and stuff, you know. And she's like, hell no, get rid of that thing. And we ended up getting rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's just one of those things that keep your...
It's just, you know, it's a toy.
Yeah, and it keeps your...
It's a novelty.
Keeps
it's
your
imagination.
Imagination. Yeah, it keeps that imagination going, you know what I mean?
Is what it is. You know, and that's what I was saying earlier about, you know, when these things first came out, they became like a novelty. They were almost like a freaking yo-yo or something, you know, that you pull out at a party and, you know, everybody would have fun, you know, talking to spirits on this board that, you know. Well,
you know, when it comes into that, like, I really look at it kind of like it's a group think type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, people can make things happen. Humans can make things happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And they claim that that's what's going on, is that your subconscious is causing... twitches in your fingers that are making this thing move around. I don't know what does it. I know they work. I've used one numerous times. And this guy that I used to use one with all the time is one of those guys that I trust him, you know. Yeah. And he trusted me. And, you know, we played with these things for years and never had any problems with them.
Yeah. And, you know, like I said, it's one of those things that keep that imagination going, keep that thing, you know, cooking. Yeah. So, like, I seen that really cool freaking Ouija board table on Facebook.
Oh yeah, that
and when I build
the coffee table or the dining table. I saw one. It was like a dining room table.
Well, the one
it was awesome.
I'm getting one, and I'm going to get it for the studio because I'm getting ready to build a house here soon. I'm going to build a studio downstairs for the podcast, and we're using it for a table for sure. I'm getting one, 100% getting one. But as far as using them, I've used them a few times. And kind of like you, I was using it with one of my friends, and I trust the guy 100%.
Right.
And it was just me and him, and some stuff came through, and it was some stuff that was kind of pretty close to us, and like stuff that hadn't happened yet.
Right.
But then came to fruition. So, I mean, we didn't get any haunting things or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
But we kind of got, you know, a little bit of a preview, I guess, of what was coming.
You know, I guess the cat thing for us was kind of a preview, but we would ask this thing questions that... Now, me and this guy, we knew each other pretty well, but we would ask it questions that we knew the other person didn't know the answer, and it would answer it. And be... fairly accurate.
That way you guys would know who's... Because if you didn't know the answer, and you know you're not moving it to the correct answer, then...
Right. You know.
But it's cool. It's that whole connection thing. I mean, it's a connection between everybody. I mean, and it spawned some pretty good movies.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I love...
Which board? Oh, my God.
Good movie. I just watched it, like I said, not too long ago. We talked about it on a podcast.
The lovely Tawna Kitaen.
See, I gotta get it. I gotta get the names of the old school actresses and stuff and actors. Like I've been trying to school myself on some of the older stuff, cause like
It's not like I'm older than him or anything.
Yeah, he's not old at all.
Moving on. No, but I do have a friend of mine that has a really good story about a Ouija board. And I think I may try and get him to tell that to us. So, hey, everybody, this is my buddy Justin. He's going to tell us a cool little story about a Ouija board. You ready for this, Justin?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. So, the story really starts 9 years ago, back in, what is that now, 2009. Me and 3 other friends of mine, we was given a Ouija board from some other friends of ours, and we decided to play it. At the time, I was living at my parents' house, and me and the 3 of them, we get the board out, and we decide to play. My parents are away, so obviously they wouldn't approve with us doing this there. So we started to play the board, started warming it up, and of course, all of us were not necessarily believers in it, but warming it up, we started going through a round of questioning, going, is anyone there? It goes to yes. So, are you a boy or girl? Goes to boy. Asks how old they are. Goes to like 9 years old, I believe it was.
That's cool.
Well, then we asked the name. And whenever we asked the name, it went to 3 different letters. And it really didn't make sense to us at the time. So we'd, follow through with more questions at the time. Then we'd circle back to the original questions. Well, each time we asked, are you a boy or girl? It responded a boy. Asked the age, it responded 9. Asked the name, it went to the same 3 letters. And we did a cycle of these questions 4 or 5 different times. And obviously, the whole thing in our mind was thinking that somebody is moving. So we didn't really think much of it. And I held on to the Ouija board because everyone else was a little too intimidated to take it home with them. So the following day, when I wake up, it just, for whatever reason, it clicked in my head. I remember there being a cemetery from mid-late 1800s on my family's property, and it's kind of out in the tree lines. You can't see it from the road or nowhere else like that. So for whatever reason, it just clicked in my head to go take a look at it. So I go down there. I walk through the cemetery. It's just growed up with brush and briars and you name it. Walking through there, I find a headstone for a boy that was 9 years old that passed away. And the 3 letters that we kept getting responded for his name was the initials for his full name.
That's insane.
So, instantly gives me just most insane chills I've ever had.
Oh, I bet. That would creep me out, too.
So, I get my phone out and I take a picture of this headstone. And I text it to the people that was there with me playing. They couldn't believe it. So that weekend, we went to a palm reader in town. And this guy, he told us that he's a pagan, that he does not believe in God or nothing like that. But he does believe in demons and that you can be possessed and just have a bad experience. So we was discussing the Ouija board and everything that we did. And he said that it was pretty common for people to get those kinds of responses. So me being the type of person I am, I asked him the question, what's the one thing you do not want to do with a Ouija board? And he replied, never try to play it alone. He said that you just open yourself up for really bad situations and you'll have no defense. There's no one there to help you. And it just makes connecting with an entity that much easier. So later that weekend, I decide that I'm gonna be the fool to actually attempt this, because I'm the type that it either has to happen to me or I have to see it for myself before I'm 100% a believer. So that weekend, the same group of friends, we was all hanging out. Well, I dropped them off. It's real late. It's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I get home. So I tell them when I get home, I was talking to them on my cell phone, and I tell them that I'm going to play it by myself. And of course, they all was kind of freaked out and paranoid and was like, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do it. But I decided to do it anyway, so I kept them on speakerphone. So, of course, I try to set the mood. I turn all the lights off in the house. I get some candles out. So I'm doing this by candlelight. And mind you, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I start to warm the board, and as soon as I did, our house phone rings at my parents' house, and instantly just gives me chills. I'm in a pure state of just terror, just scare the hell out of me. And I finally calmed myself down, and my friends were telling me on the cell phone I was talking to, they said, go answer it. I was a little leery about going answering it because I don't know who the hell's on the other end of the phone. But I finally calmed down enough. And I suppose I should lead in a little backstory. My family is extremely religious. They are Pentecostal. I was born and raised in their church. Myself, I'm not a religious person. I don't follow organized religion. But my grandfather is the pastor at this church, so my family's really into this stuff. So leading up to that, my entire childhood living with my parents, we've never had anyone call their house after 9 o'clock at night. Just everyone knew that my parents went to bed that time. They was always asleep. So no one ever called past 9 unless it was an absolute emergency. So now, back to this, 3 o'clock in the morning, I start warming the board by myself. Our house phone rings. It's my grandmother, and she is in a complete hysterical state of panic, and she's out of breath, and she just kept saying, Justin, are you okay? So instantly gives me just chills. I'm freaked out at this point, and I'm trying to just keep calm. And so I told her, I said, yeah, I'm fine. And she's like, are you sure you're okay? She's like, I'm coming over. I said, no, it's okay. You don't have to come over. She's like, are you sure? I said, I am fine, I promise you. And she says, well, I'm going to start praying for you. So I got off the phone with her, and instantly I'm freaked out, because what's the coincidence of something like that happening? I was told by multiple people, a person that was a pagan, does not believe in God, tells me that it is a very bad idea to play alone. Then the night I do play alone, I get this phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just the odds are, there's just too much stacked up against it to make sense. So I am completely freaked out at this time. So I decide, I obviously turn every light in the house on. I'm freaked out. I get off the phone with my friends, and I'm trying to do everything I can to get my mind off of it, to change things. And so I put the Ouija board back in the box, put it all away, and I leave it on the downstairs table. Well, I go upstairs, and this is back when there was MySpace and all that. So I get on the internet, and I'm playing like online poker and stuff, and I'm trying to just get my mind off of it. And the whole time that I was upstairs playing, it felt like there was this huge dark presence just right on top of my shoulders and my back, just like breathing down my neck. And that was the most paranoid I've ever felt in my life. And I remember I kept jerking around, turning my head, just looking to see what's behind me, because it literally felt like someone was right up on me. And for this next thing, I have no explanation why I decided to do this, but I get off the computer and I go downstairs and I grab the Ouija board, and I pick it up and I take it up to my bedroom, and I lay it in the bed next to me. And as soon as I laid down to go to sleep with the Ouija board next to me, I was the most peaceful and relaxed I felt. I was completely calm, never had no issues, and I literally slept like a baby all night. I had no sense of paranoia or fear, nothing. Well, the following week, I explained to the guy that was the palm reader, and explaining to him what I did, and obviously he did not approve of what I did, playing it by myself. And I told him what had happened, and he's obviously, he don't believe in God, so he's really not on that side of it. But I explained the feeling I had, after it was done. I walked away from it. I tried to get far away from the Ouija board and the feeling of paranoia and fear until I got it and put it in bed next to me, how calm I felt. And he explained to me that the reason it felt that way is because whatever I was communicating with attached itself to me. And he said, and when you get attached to an entity like that, that's the feelings you get because it's trying to feed off of your energy. So it gave me that feeling until it was next to me to where it could attach to me. And honestly, that was probably the most scared I've ever been in any situation in my life.
Yeah, they call that metapsychosis. It's basically transmigration of the soul. They say it can happen when you use a Ouija board by yourself.
Well, I know from my personal experience that was the most intense state of paranoia or fear that I've ever experienced in my lifetime.
That's cool, man. That's a pretty creepy story. Love it. Well, thanks, Justin, for coming in and sharing that with us. We're going to get this uploaded on the podcast, and great story. Great story.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I've had some pretty cool experiences that kind of made it look to me, it's like something is there. And I think that, but I also don't think that you have to have a Ouija board to do that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, there are certain things that go on like just with the group mentality of anything. When you got a basketball team or a football team, and you guys get that same thing in your head.
You're all on that same level.
You're on that same length.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's got to work. And
it's like extrasensory perception.
And I am a firm believer of all that crap.
Yeah.
I believe.
I like that. All that crap.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna freaking correct.
He's not gonna sugarcoat it.
I'm not gonna correct myself either. But no, because I know 100% that I have. It's funny because it's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer when she gets like cramps whenever vampires are near, in the movie. Yeah. Even now, when I sense something, like if I go to a house or something that's haunted, or even if I don't know it's haunted, I'll just get a feeling on something.
Yeah, you get that weird feeling in your gut.
Dude, I get it. I get it to where it's like, I instantly either know, it's haunted, but it's cool. Yeah. But I've had places, dude, that I remember this one house. When we were younger, we were all going partying in different people's houses and stuff. We were probably 15 years old.
Yeah.
And everybody was walking up to this dude's house, and he had a foyer,
Yeah.
Just you open up like a screen door into the foyer, and then it goes into the house.
Goes into the house, yeah.
Well, this is an older house, old brick house, so it had like this cool decorative foyer and stuff, So everybody's walking. I'm one of the last ones to walk in. I get in the foyer, and they open up the door. When they opened up the front door, man, I was just like, I stopped. I'm like, I'm not going in here. I didn't say that, but in my head, I'm like, I told everybody, hey, I'm going to wait outside. I'm like, oh, you want to go to the bathroom? I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I'll wait out here. And I wait outside and stuff. And then later on, I talked to the kid who lived there. We were just bullshitting, talking. Mm-hmm. And I started asking about his house. I'm like, this house is pretty old, blah, blah, making small talking. And I'm like, is it haunted? Just joking. Right. He's like, dude, it's funny you say that because, like, I see stuff and hear stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I knew it. I didn't tell him that.
Yeah.
But, like, I 100% believe in that stuff because I know I have it. I know I do. And the thing is, I don't know. It's weird because I don't, like I talked before about it, stuff don't scare me. It really don't.
Right.
It kind of gives me an adrenaline. You know what I mean? It's weird. I mean, I don't do drugs or none of that crap, so I don't know what to compare it to, like, as far as, like, or I don't even really drink that much, really. I haven't drank in, like, 8 years.
Oh, my God.
I don't drink, though. I drink it once a year, like, on my birthday or New Year's or something, but ever since I had kids, I've never drank it because I know I'm going to have a headache anyway when I wake up. I don't want to have an extra headache.
Right.
But, there's a lot of cool, that's one of the reasons why I like the Ouija board is because it's just, it puts something else out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was super popular.
Oh, yeah.
When it first, I mean, I think in 1967, they said it sold 2 million pieces of 2 million of them, and it was more than Monopoly. They sold more Ouija boards than Monopoly in 1967.
Well, that was right around Vietnam.
Yep.
So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they sold 2 million copies of it in 1967. That's awesome. So outsold Monopoly.
Yeah. Just to kind of go off onto another little story. Big person that was a big skeptic, and we've all heard the name before. It's Harry Houdini.
Yeah.
He was a huge skeptic.
Really?
He used to go to all these different mediums and psychics and figure out how to debunk them. And when his mother passed away, he tried to communicate with her through a Ouija board, and was successful. But whenever he passed away, he was still a skeptic, but he told everybody that if there is something out there, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you about it. And he never did. Nobody
Asshole.
nobody ever heard.
A liar.
The guy could escape anything but death.
He's a liar.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not really dead.
But just kind of interesting that, somebody that, you think about this guy, magician, escape artist, but he was really big into the paranormal. And
see, and that's something for me too, is that I want to see it.
Yeah.
I've seen things in my life. That's why I believe in that stuff.
I've seen a lot of things I can't explain.
I've seen a lot of things, and I've heard a lot of things. 100% I've heard a lot of things. I don't know if we talked about it on one of our podcasts, but I told you about it. That night, me and my wife, we had just went to bed. We laid down, it was probably like midnight. And we got this big California king-size bed, right? So my 2 boys, they still sleep with us. I mean, that's just that. I feel safer having them near me.
Yeah.
That
it's
way,
a family affair.
If something happens, I can just grab the shotty and put a hole through the wall and not have to worry about hitting my kids. So, we were laying there. She was on one side of the bed. I was on the other side of the bed. And we usually do the whole love you, babe thing,
Yeah.
So we did that. But then I heard clear as freaking day in my ear, like a woman saying something. But it was kind of mumbled. So I was like, what's up, baby? And she's like, I didn't say anything, but did you hear that? And I was like, yeah, that wasn't you. She's like, what the fuck was that?
That's wild.
And then as soon as she said that, it did it again. Clear as day. Heard a woman talking, both of us. At the same time heard it.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
Because, the first thing I asked you was there somebody outside?
Yeah. And I mean,
like, no, there was nobody outside the house.
Yeah, because I get up. I already told you guys I'm a freaking prepper. I look for everything, so I hear everything. So if I would have thought somebody was outside, I got up and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I thought it was my dog, because sometimes your dogs make weird noises.
Dogs can't talk.
Yeah, but sometimes they make weird noises that sound like so what it ain't. So like and my dog, she's like 13 years old. She's a fat girl and she breathes weird sometimes. And sometimes she makes weird noises. So I was like, maybe it's Kasha. So I get down. Yeah, her name's Akasha. She is named after a freaking Queen of the Damned.
That's cool.
That's where she got her name. And I looked and she's standing up. And she's just been asleep. And she was standing up, like looking around. I'm like, okay, so it wasn't her. So I don't know what that was, but that's just something recently that I've seen or that I heard. I've heard stuff my whole life. So, it is what it is. That's another story. We're going to get into paranormal stuff and some ghost stories and whatever else later on. But, there's other stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's ways to communicate it with it, and the Ouija board is just one of those ways. You know? And I mean,
there's all kinds of things. What do they call it? Divinity objects where like they have what do they call the rods?
Dowsing
rods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've seen those. And all these new
spirit boxes.
all these new like ghost hunters and stuff, they're getting into all this electronic stuff, and that stuff's cool and all, but I don't know that you really need all that.
I do love me an EVP.
Yeah,
I do love having
to have a voice recorder. Oh yeah, you have to have that. But I'm talking about
the spirit box annoys
these EMF detectors and
because what you got to realize is you got an EMF detector, right? You're like, okay, I got this EMF detector. It's going off, and I'm holding it right next to my camera.
Yeah,
and I'm holding it right next to
putting off EMF.
Yeah, I'm putting on. That's one thing I like about like ghost hunters.
Yeah,
when they were in taps,
right?
They went out to disprove a lot of stuff, but they also would check everything before they did. Okay, well, there's a high EMF coming off these pipes here.
Right.
There's high EMF coming off these wires over here. They get that baseline, reading and stuff.
That show was really cool when it started, but it went downhill. Well,
they got to make money.
Yeah, when they started staging stuff, it was.
And now you got Zach Baggins, who gets possessed every time he goes somewhere.
That guy.
Dude, I love that show. I watch it every day. Every time it comes on, I record it. Well, I do it anyway for the podcast, so we can talk about it later. But like, dude, his buddy Aaron on there, I feel so bad for that
poor guy.
Every time Aaron, Zach will be like,
in every shitty situation.
Zach's like, and in this room, 18 people have been murdered, and they say if you go in there for more than 5 minutes, you can feel someone like they're stabbing you in the gut. So we're gonna send Aaron in alone. It's like, God dang, dude.
Poor guy.
And he's always like, dude, no, dude. I remember seeing one time where like they shoved him in the damn room and shut the door on him. Like, dude, this gets shit on so much. I feel bad for him,
That sucks. Yeah, I don't watch that show very often. I'll turn it on and watch a little bit of it. It just, I don't know, that guy,
I do it more for laughs.
Yeah, that guy just kind of annoys me.
I do it more. Oh yeah, he annoys everybody, dude. There's a whole podcast about making fun of the show.
Yeah.
It's called Insanely Haunted, and they make fun of the show. But yeah, that guy, he's something else. They just did something on Halloween about Divot Box. They opened up the Divot Box.
Yeah,
live.
they were doing like a live show or whatever.
We're gonna open up the Divot Box live. No, I didn't, because it was Halloween and I had better things to do.
Yeah. But, I should have recorded that. Ghost Hunters, they used to do a live show.
Yeah, I did, and I watched theirs. I honestly loved.
Those were kind of cool.
I can tell you that I watched everything up to like. I didn't watch the last couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Or the last few seasons. I watched every episode up to that, dude. I love that show.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing that Ghost Hunters and the whole TAPS team did is they made the paranormal explode on TV, because when they started, there was hardly anything on TV. I used to wait to see these, because I like the stories or the shows where they're like most terrifying places on earth and stuff like that.
Most haunted. And...
not so much a Ghost Hunters kind of thing, but just telling you the story
Dracula's
of what happened.
Castle and
exactly.
Castle and
those are the shows that I really get into, and I always would just wait. Couldn't wait till these shows were on, and now they're on every frickin' day. And the world is kind of getting burnt out on them.
Yeah, kind of. But I tell you what, dude. Like I said, I've been kind of doing research on these for the podcast because I know we're eventually going to get into them deeper. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, there's some pretty good ones. Like Haunted Possessions is a good one. I like it. I like the way it's made.
I have not seen that one yet.
It's a good one. There's Haunted Possessions, My Haunted House. I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
Most Haunted is a good one. My son really loves that My Haunted House. He loves that one. Yeah, I like them a lot. Yeah. I like them a lot. They're I watched this really cool episode the other day, dude. And this guy, he moved into this house, and he got up. They were doing the remodel and stuff. He got upstairs, up to the attic, and was putting in, up in the attic, and he's putting in the stuff up there for storage. And he's seen that there was like a fake wall built up in an attic. Yeah. Well, he had broke through the wall, and there was a TV up there with like boxes and boxes of VHS tapes
that had been boarded up behind this wall.
Yes.
Wow.
So he told his wife about it or whatever, and they said, "Well, we'll get into it later," because they literally just moved in. Well, he starts watching at night, And it's this dude who, it's someone videotaping their like it's their neighbor's house, but the person still doesn't live there, but it's their neighbor's house. And it's videotaping this house for like 24 hours.
From their house?
From their house.
Holy shit.
Yeah, well, he keeps going into it and going into it and getting further into it and getting further into it. Well, at the same time, his wife is having these visions and like having something come to her and like showing her stuff. So, anyway, she tells her husband, like, they're kind of further and further apart, you know what I mean?
You started talking about his wife, and I thought, oh, shit, he found a videotape of his wife going over to this other house.
Oh, no, dude. Well, this is what's crazy. He gets further into this one, and he finally gets, like, after watching, like, hours and hours and hours for days of these videos, he finally gets to one where the dude is videotaping and he goes to the other person's house. And it's this blind lady, right? Really good looking blind lady, you know, whatever. I think she was blind. She may have just been really dark, because here's what happens anyway. He goes over there, breaks in the house, and the guy's like, oh man, no, don't do it. Breaks in the house, he goes upstairs. He's walking through the house, videotaping the whole time. Gets to her room. She sits up and looks around, and like he is videotaping her, and he's in front of her, you know, and he goes to the side of the bed, and she's looking forward like, who is there? Blah, blah, you know, kind of like she looks like she's blind, but maybe it's just pitch dark. Who knows? And he's got night vision camera or whatever.
Right.
Well, he ends up killing this lady. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so the lady who's been coming and visiting his wife, like the dead lady, was the lady that the guy killed. And the lady kept saying, you're next, you're next.
Oh
to
my
her,
God.
to his wife. Well, they end up calling the cops. And, dude, the guy who got busted, like they have like 300 tapes of people that he had killed.
Oh my God.
And this is coming from that video. So,
wow.
Or that
and what
show.
was that on?
I want to say that was on My Haunted House or something like that.
Dude, I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's a really good show. They do really good, like, you know, whatever you want to call it, the playbacks, the reenactments.
Right.
They do really good reenactment stuff. It's pretty good. You know?
Yeah. Hell yeah, that sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we got into the Ouija board. You know, but you got mail. So I love the Ouija board. You know, there's not a whole lot out there about it. You know, the origin of it, no one really knows. I mean, it is what it is. But,
I mean, we know where the modern version came from.
Yes.
You know, but you know, as far as how it originated, you know, who knows? Maybe Patience Worth came to Charles Kennard and said, "Hey,
check this out, dog."
No.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But I don't know. I think that's probably gonna be it for this week.
Yeah. Sorry, we kind of ran out of time. We ran off on a tangent, so we'll get to some witchcraft on a later episode, because I definitely want to get into that, because I've got a lot to say about it.
And I found a lot of stuff on it. I think we could do an actually full episode on witchcraft. Very
probably
easily.
a couple.
And we'll do it again too, because I want to actually get a witch. I want to find. I know people who are connected with people, and bring them in and have them talk to us a little bit about stuff.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I think that's what we're gonna do. And don't forget to hit us up on Facebook, everybody. The Horror Chronicles podcast, very easy to find. Give us suggestions of what you want to hear. Give us some feedback on here. If you're downloading, subscribing, and you're listening, please give us feedback. So
tell us what you want to hear.
And
we're going to try and get this out on some other mediums.
Oh, we definitely are.
I've been looking at some other stuff. You know, some other
there's Spotify and stuff like that.
You know, iTunes, and we're going to try and get it out there. It's just kind of.
I mean, we've been working at this. We're only 5. This will be our 5th episode.
Yeah,
I mean, we're still young, so I mean, we're getting her in there, but we're gonna put it out there in different places and stuff. But with your guys' help, that's gonna help us get out there even more.
Yeah,
and
even faster.
And we're gonna get better. I mean, I'll be honest with you, our last episode was my favorite so far. Like that.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good, man.
It was my favorite. And so, like I said, hit us up on Facebook.
Do it.
Definitely get the cast. If you're just somehow stumble upon this, you're listening to it. Castbox, it's a free app. It's easy to use.
Yeah, it's on Android and
Yep. It's
Apple.
Everything. And go to the Horror Chronicles. Just look it up. Find us there. Download and subscribe, guys. Subscribe.
Yeah, if you subscribe, you'll know when the new episodes hit.
Yep, and you can download them. And then once you're done listening to them, you can delete them, and they won't cost you,
No, don't delete them. Keep that shit forever, like luggage.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can download it while you're at your house on your free Wi-Fi, and then you can listen to it anywhere. Even if you don't have any service, you can just listen to it because it's on your phone.
And force other people to listen to it.
Force them. So hit us up, guys. Let us know what's going on. And until next time.
Keep it creepy.